In 2023, I sort of found myself falling into the trap a little bit of being all consumed by my training. This is another quote that I've heard recently that I really like. The difference between being all consumed versus all in. So for 2024, I aim to be all in, but not all consumed. My name is Ben. I'm a 26-year-old online performance and nutrition coach. I'm an ultra endurance runner and an awesome supplements athlete. Now, I consider myself to be somewhat of a high-performing human. There's certain things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis to ensure that my training is as effective as possible, and essentially that I can perform come race day whenever that may be. This video, I'm going to run you through some of my key principles and top tips and tricks on how I think you can live a more high-performance life. So I think it's worth noting that high performance might look slightly different to everyone, depending on your life, what sport you may play, what your goals are, and sort of the different hurdles and challenges that may come your way. High performance for me might be different to a mum with 2 small children or someone who works a busy job in the city, for example. But as an ultra endurance athlete, I feel like there is one key aspect to living a high performance life, and that is consistency. That's consistency across the board, whether it's the big things like your training, your sleep, your nutrition, or the small things like when you're eating, what times you're eating around your training, your daily vitamins, all of those kind of things. So it really does cover every aspect. There's one quote that I really love, and it's better to be consistently good than occasionally great. So if I just put that into context, if you have 2 people, they're both running a half marathon in 3 months' time, for example. One person runs 3 times a week consistently for the whole 3 months, doesn't do any spectacular runs, just gets them done, ticks them off, and moves through the process seamlessly. The other person is a bit of a he sort of shows up, gives it everything, writes himself off, does an amazing long run or goes really fast, but then doesn't run for the rest of the week, maybe skips next week because he picked up a niggle. Who do you think is going to be better off come race day? The person who was consistently good or the person who was occasionally great? I think you know the answer. So for the year 2024, I'm working towards what is definitely the toughest and most challenging thing that I've done yet in my life and in my ultra running career. It's called the Dragon's Back. It's known as the world's toughest mountain race, and it's a 380 kilometer trail run from the northernmost point of Wales to the southernmost point. So it goes from a small town called Conwy Castle, and then you run basically right down the middle, down the spine of Wales, all the way to Cardiff Castle. There's 17,500 meters of vertical gain across the 380 kilometers. And yes, that's more than twice the height of Everest. So it's a lot of climbing and a lot of descending at that. And there are some things that I really need to make sure that I have absolutely dialed into my daily routine, my weekly routine, starting right now. Starting at the start of January, we've got a solid 8 months until the race. So it's what I do now is going to really make the difference. And a few of these things are actually things that I'm trying to bring in and implement as new habits or slightly different habits from previous years. The first one being just a better balance across my life. In 2023, I sort of found myself falling into the trap a little bit of being all consumed by my training. This is another quote that I've heard recently that I really like. The difference between being all consumed versus all in. So for 2024, I aim to be all in, but not all consumed, which is where the balance comes in. So I found that if I have a better balance, be that with my social life, my training, my work, and all of those things, I'm in turn a happier person, and then I can actually perform better. So if I find a better balance, I'm going to be more high performing. So that's sort of aim number 1 of things I'm going to slightly change, of just taking a step back, looking over things a bit more regularly and make sure that everything's in balance and I'm giving a good amount of energy to each aspect of my life and not just letting training be 100%, because it can quickly turn into burnout, into injury, and just losing the love for it a little bit. The second thing that I have had somewhat of a focus on previously, but in hindsight probably not enough, is being absolutely set on fueling to perform. What I mean by this is it's quite easy to get hung up on about appearance, how you look, how lean you are. There's a whole load of those things out there on social media these days, and it's quite easy to compare yourself to people. But with something like ultra running, especially something like the Dragon's Back, where it's such a big challenge, if you don't 100% approach it with fueling to perform as your focus, you're not going to perform as well as you can. If you are sort of pulling back here, restricting there, trying to hold on to those abs or whatever it may be, your performance will suffer as a result. Your recovery will suffer through your training. You're not going to be able to adapt as well to your training. And ultimately, you're just not going to be at the point of which you could if you focused your fueling on performing. And the third one, which kind of ties in back to that balance aspect, is I'm actually moving house. I'm moving to a new environment to be with different people, good group of friends, all my sort of age. Because whilst in 2023, I've done a lot of traveling and I've been to some amazing places, I've also spent quite a lot of time back home with my parents, which the environment is great, but there's just not a lot of people my age. So I'm moving down to Bristol. I'm going to be in a great sort of community of running. I'm also going to be close by to Wales where I'm racing, so I'll be able to go and sort of do some training there, which is fantastic. And I think it's just going to be a really positive in finding that balance and helping me be a bit more balanced across all aspects. So whilst there are a few things that I'm changing for 2024, there's absolutely some things that I'm keeping 100% the same, some non-negotiables that I try and do every single day, and I really think lead to me being able to perform my best, be that in the gym, out running, on the bike, or whatever it may be. The first one is all about sleep. I'm a big advocate of sleep, and especially consistent sleep. So I aim to go to bed and wake up at pretty much, give or take, the same time every day. No matter the day. I think this consistency, as I said before, really helps with a lot of things. It helps structure my day. I know what's going on. I know when I'm going to wake up. I know when I'm going to bed, so I can work around that. It helps me get more regular sleep, better quality sleep, and just wake up feeling super fresh and ready to go. I don't ever wake up feeling groggy because I've woken up in the middle of a different sleep cycle or I'm all out of whack or whatever. So number one, non-negotiable, is get to bed and wake up at near enough the same time every single day. Number two, kind of swings back to that 100% focused on fueling to perform, is absolutely ensuring with no excuses that I fuel before every single training session. The aim will be to get some easy to digest, easy to absorb and use carbohydrates in my system prior to any training session. Again, whether that's in the gym, whether that's running, a recovery ride or a swim or whatever it may be, make sure I fuel my training. And the third one is something that I think is quite a skill that you have to develop and learn, but it's basically adapting to whatever life throws at you. So as an athlete, I have coaches. I have a coach who helps me with my strength work. I have a running coach and they deliver me my sessions. Now, it would be all too easy for me to just look at my phone screen every single day, like, okay, that's what I'm doing today. No matter how I feel, get up, go and do it. But if I'm not feeling great, if something's happened, if there's a hurdle been put in my way, there's absolutely no reason why I should just go out and do that hard session potentially anyway. Always sort of take stock of how I'm feeling, check things over if I've got any niggles or whatever. And if it's not great, then maybe I'll swap a session. Maybe I'll do an easy run that day instead of that hard run, or maybe I'll just have a rest day. So that's something that I think is really important. It's not just becoming a box ticker, as it's known, but listening to your body and sort of making moves based off how you feel on a daily basis. So one part of my routine that I haven't mentioned yet is my supplements and what I take, how I take them, why I take them, and how I maybe think I'd feel if I didn't take them. So as an awesome supplements athlete, I'm really lucky to be able to have some of the best supplements on the market available to me. I have four main supplements that I take. Some that I take every single day without question are the electrolytes, the defense, and the joints. So I take the electrolytes before every training session to make sure that I'm optimally hydrated, that I have a optimal balance of electrolytes in my body, because if you're even the slightest bit dehydrated, it can massively affect performance. So making sure that I'm optimally hydrated every day is an absolute non-negotiable for me. I also take the defense and the joint supplement every day because whilst you can do your best to tick all of those boxes, hit all of those essential micronutrients through a whole food-based diet, which is absolutely doable, it can be quite tough to do that every single day. So just having that defense supplement there as sort of something to lean on to make sure that you're confident that you're getting those things in is absolutely fantastic. And I think if I didn't take that, the likelihood of me picking up any sort of winter flus, colds, bugs, illnesses, my ability to recover and just go day after day after day, whilst training a lot sort of has quite a big impact on your immune system. Making sure that you're getting those vitamins and minerals in to keep your immune system strong is really essential. So that's why I take the defense every day. And then the joints, the obviously repetitive nature of running can be quite hard on your bones and joints. So having that joint supplement in there just to, again, promote better function and better general health and general bodily function is really important to me. The fourth supplement is the plant protein. This is one that I think is probably their most popular for good reason. It tastes incredible. It's probably not something that I take every single day, but I do have it quite often as a bit of an insurance policy because protein can be a tough macronutrient to hit every day. So having something like the plant protein there in your back pocket, if you've not managed to hit your intake or you know it's going to be harder that day or whatever, that's when I'll lean on plant protein to get that protein hit in, maybe after a gym session, after my run in my oats, for example, or just as a snack to have a little bit of a top up. So those are my main supplements that I take. We've got the hydration, the electrolytes, the defense, which is like the multivit. It's got everything you need, ticks all the boxes, and the joints, which is great for bone and joint health. And also the protein, which I don't take every single day, but I do have quite often. So I hope you found everything I've talked about so far helpful. I'm just going to finish on a few different sort of top tips and key takeaways that I think you should try and implement, or you should maybe take away and think about for 2024 in aim of leading a more high performance life. Number one would be, don't try and do it all at once. Now, I've mentioned a hell of a lot of things in this video so far. I do not encourage you to take all of them away and do it all. I would say maybe pick one or two things that you think suit you best and implement those. Really focus on those and dial into those over the course of a few weeks, even months. And then when they're sort of second nature and really bedded in, then move on to the next. If you try and do too many things at once, very, very common for the whole house to just fall down and then you end up with nothing. So don't try to do it all at once. Focus on the important things to you and build up slowly. This is going to be a much more sustainable approach. Second one is something that I mentioned earlier. Being consistently good is much better than being occasionally great. So this just really leans on the fact that you don't need to sort of break records, set PBs, or do anything spectacular any day, if every day. You're much better off just showing up, getting the work done, adjusting things if you feel like you need to. If you're super tired, then perhaps just stepping sideways rather than stepping forward is the best you're going to do that day, and it's better than stepping back. So making sure you're consistent rather than occasionally great is something that I think can be really powerful in someone's journey, especially when we're looking long term. If you're just occasionally great every now and then, you're not going to make any sort of long-term adaptations or progress. You're just going to be sort of chopping and changing and bouncing between different things. So consistently being good rather than occasionally great is tip number 2. And finally, pick a goal, pick a target. If for 2024 you want to start running a little bit more, don't just say, I want to start running a little bit more. Set yourself a target. That might be a race, that might not, but say in 3 months, if you're not doing a race, I want to be able to run for an hour. And then work back from that. How are you going to get to that point where you need to consistently run and you need to gradually increase your running volume until you're hitting 60 minutes continuous? Or if you do want to do a race and in 3 months you want to do a half marathon, how are you going to do that? You're going to set the date for the half marathon. You're going to find a planner. You're going to work back from that date. And you're going to have those mini goals, those mini targets on how you're going to get to that. So I think without a target, without a goal, you can get really lost quite quickly in all of these things that you're trying to implement. So the third one would be set a goal, set a target, do yourself a big favor in reaching new heights for 2024.